there, I'm the Utopian trainer. This video is about healing the relationship between humanity and the planet and nature. So first, listen and watch this. So I'm here in a forest in between Szczeliniec Wielki and Pasterska, and Karłów is also close to here. And yeah, I've been here for 8 days and I've been thinking a lot about a few things, and I thought I'd just share a few things with you. First of all, in our work as political activists or as pedagogues, we need to work on enabling our participants to heal their relationship with nature, with the planet. The reason to do this is to, well, we need to think about our relationship with the planet, with nature. Without doing this, we're not going to be able to combat climate change. So there's a few simple methods one can do here. Maybe we've experienced them or versions of them. First of all, A, you send your participants in pairs to a place in nature, and one of them closes their eyes and the other person guides them. They can do it by holding their arm. And the focus on this is not on the relationship between the two or the experience of being blind, that's a dodgy thing to do, rather on simply being aware of the senses, like the smells, the sounds, maybe even like touching things. The other person will simply bring them to places where they can taste things, smell things, touch things, and occasionally to give them a tap on the shoulder, because it's best to do this in silence. Give them a tap on the shoulder and then they can open their eyes, and they've been just brought to something, and then they just have some time just looking at the bark of a tree or something like that. And then swap over after, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It's possible that you stand in a place and you just like make a noise everyone can hear, and from this noise everyone should be doing, should swap over. That's the first method. The second method is to simply send participants away alone into nature, and without the task of actually thinking about anything really, but simply to look, to, like for example, to go to a tree, to lean against it, to sit against it, to listen to the tree, to the sound of the bark, or any other parts of nature. And I've done this in seminars, people normally find it quite cool. Now, a key thing with this is that this is not just about what one takes. I mean, one takes a lot. We really do take a lot from nature, we really do gain a lot. But one can fall into the danger then of like commercializing this, making this into a commodity. So I gain this in order that I am able to do this in work or something like that. Sometimes in pedagogical words, we're able to justify the work we do via the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes, like someone develops their relationship with nature, but not that we develop our relationship with nature for the sake of nature, for the sake of the earth. That we're actually caring, we're paying attention to the relationship for its own sake, and not necessarily just because we're looking to gain some learning outcomes, that we learn something new from this. Or one can have like another definition of learning with it. Simply one has a better connection with the planet, with nature, and I think this is already a good thing to gain from a workshop or from a seminar. So that's the first point. However, to add to that, the healing of the relationship between humanity and the planet and with nature, it should not, however, be done on an individual basis. Rather, it needs to be done on a community basis. What motivates my thinking with this is a philosophy called Buen Vivir, which is being used by various indigenous people in different parts of South America, such as in Bolivia, Ecuador. Samak Kavse, if I'm pronouncing it right, is also a word which is being used. There's other indigenous phrases which are being used for this. And this is basically I want to do a longer video about this another time, but there's a book I'm reading at the moment. Part of it is acknowledging the relationship between humans and nature and the planet, but in an anti-capitalist way. So not thinking what can we gain from this, but rather what is our relationship like. We're good to our relationship with the earth for its own sake, and to care for that relationship and to include the earth, to include nature in our thinking, our reflections on what we want to do in life. And this has not been done on an individual basis, this is being done on a community basis. So if you're going to be doing this as a political activity, as a seminar activity, pedagogical activity, you need to be thinking about the relationship of the community with nature of your group, for example. And this can be reflected on. Now within Buen Vivir, which broadly translates as a good life, is the kind of a spiritual approach to this, if this is the right word, namely that there is like a spirit of the earth. Mama Pacha, I think it's called. In Europe it's often Mother Earth is being used, so it's something a bit similar, not completely though. And this isn't done in a way to kind of romanticize the earth, to romanticize nature, but simply to see the earth in its own terms. Now myself, I don't like giving like the anthropomorphization, I can't see the word, where you're kind of using a human, a mother, in order to understand the earth. I'd rather do it the other way around, if anything. But I'm not going to be telling them what to do. And we cannot replicate Buen Vivir here in Europe because it comes from a specific colonial context. However, I do believe that it can be useful to, while A, thinking about healing the relationship of humans to the earth, and B, as a community, healing the relationship of a community to the earth, and B, thinking about the earth for its own sake, and then attributing some kind of spiritual element to this. And this can be dependent on one's own spiritual beliefs. So for me, I would not myself call this Mother Earth. For me it's more the trees have their own energy, the wind has its own energy, the goldfinch, the firecrest that I saw earlier today, have their own energy. So that, and I think in a Buen Vivir aims to be in plural, and I think it's good to also like a pluralistic approach to the spiritual side of nature. I say that because sometimes I'm seeing sectarianism coming into this. There's a book I'm reading about shamanism at the moment, which I'm liking, and I'm kind of interested in shamanism. I'm not thinking of being a shaman, but I just thought I'll just read about it because I got the book for free. And it is saying, yeah, we need to have a better relationship with the earth for its own sake, and not just what we gain from it. But he also makes a point at some stage, yeah, because this is about seeing the earth as being good in its own way and not being like the Christians who are being dualistic, which is seeing the spirit as good and the earth as bad. This is a very superficial view of Christianity through the millennia, as Thomas Fox has pointed out. Many people, including people in the Desert Fathers and the Fathers of the Church, they've been talking about the earth itself as being the creation of God and revealing the holiness of God, things like that. So this is not to deny that there's been also dualistic elements, and there still is in various elements of the Church. However, I just want to talk here because I only thought about it a few days ago, that sometimes there can be a sectarianism which can be also expressed in, I'm seeing it also in breathwork. I'm a breath worker, but also I've seen like a video which came out saying, okay, Western Christianity is anti-meditation and is anti-emotion. I'm thinking it's ridiculous. It's not my experience. I've known a bit of it in certain very conservative evangelical circles, but when this kind of view has been then made to say this is what all of something is, and therefore we, the people who are into this, into that, we are the good people, we're doing it right. This is sectarianism. I find it's massively off-putting. Let me be clear, I'm a Christian. I've got no problem with criticism of Christianity. I've got tons of it myself. However, when it's being done from other people who are then using it in order to say they are the bad people, we are the good people, massively off-putting for me. For me, I'm just interested in truth. And making true statements about the other group and about ourselves. Because I've had the experience, I've been in a very liberal group where there's a lot of cool things there, a lot of openness. At the same time, there was this kind of, okay, we're not like those people over there, I'm so glad we're not like them. Not for me, not for me. And I don't think this is something very conducive towards utopia, because my utopian vision, I mean, the utopian, what's the word, way of doing things is to see things in a pluralistic way. So, we need to think about how we can enable our participants, clients, to heal the relationship to the earth, and to do this as a community. And thirdly, to see how we can ascribe a spiritual element to this, or whatever inclusive word you want to use there, like the energy of here, and then we see this as something. Just want to expand on that again. I've spent so much time in the woods recently. I've normally been a mountain and sea guy, but I'm just kind of seeing here, there's like an energy here, an energy of life. One day I was walking, I was alone in the wood, and then I'm looking up, and then, like now. What a beautiful thing that is. I mean, all things have energy. It's pretty scientific to say that. Anyway, and to do this in a non-sectarian way. So there's my offer for you. A few reflections. I'd be interested to know about what you do in your work with enabling people to heal relationships with the earth. Not just to talk about doing it, but to do it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So, bye everyone.